All right, so this is a written AC by a student and who's doing this on 2022 VCA. And this text I have seen before, but I haven't seen in a lot of detail. I've only read the blurb, so I haven't seen much of the text. So at this stage in time, you can assume that I basically haven't seen the text. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the text with the student first, mainly focusing on how I break down a text that I supposedly haven't seen before, just by reading the blurb, and as well as anticipating the features which are most likely to be in the text. This is a skill that students must have because on the exam, you have very little time for reading. And if you're able to anticipate the likely features in the text just by reading the blurb, you're able to essentially prioritize on the best features of the text, rather than being focused on each individual features and meta language, which most students across the state are doing. Students who go straight into the text, reading from line 1, are most likely going to be stuck in a labyrinth of meta language without knowing which features to prioritize, which situational and cultural context to link to. Okay, so this is why we're going to go through the text first before I look at the AC. Now you can assume that I have not seen the AC, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the AC aside. So I'm just going to be looking at the text itself. Now, this is from the 2022 VCA exam, section B, text 2. Okay, so let's have a look. First Pitch for Kids is Australia's largest national youth entrepreneurship competition. Okay, so straight away, it's about kids and it's about the subject matter of entrepreneurship. So kids, straight away, that implies that maybe there would be some informality because of the audience being children, right? But at the same time, there would be some formality as well, because of the subject matter of entrepreneurship, which is not really a light-hearted subject matter. It is one with seriousness, and we'll see whether that manifests itself in the actual text. Organized and run by First Pivot, that I assume is the name of the competition or the company. It encourages children in Australia under the age of 18 to come up with an idea and business pitch for business innovation or social solution. So if you look at this subject matter, it is not one that is very small or lighthearted. It is one that is actually quite serious, and it has a lot of social implication. So in terms of the cultural context, there's a lot to unpack already because we are talking about subject matter that is about empowering children, empowering individuals, right, young individuals in Australia to be to pursue that entrepreneurial spirit. And that is something that you definitely should have discussed when you discuss the purpose of the text, as well as the underlying values which constitute cultural context. So the underlying values would be the entrepreneurial spirit, the innovative, the drive for innovation, right? And problem solving, these kind of skills that at least this company or this competition aims to promote. So straight away, I'm looking at this text and know that social purpose or purpose and cultural context would be my priorities here. The following text is an adapted extract from First Pivot's website for the First Pitch for Kids competition. The text includes hyperlinks to other web pages that provide extra information, represented by underlining. So that's some features you can discuss later on for formatting and styling. So that's under coherence. There's some features there for you to discuss. Okay, now looking at the overall blurb, there are a few things that I would jot down, or in the real exam situation, I would not jot down anything because you can't write during reading time. But what I would have in mind would be the following. So I'm going to actually use some space at the end of this document. Let's start a new page. So this is what I'm going to write down or really have in mind in the exam setting. Okay, so straight away, what are my priorities? Number one, reading the blurb, it tells me that cultural context is very important here. There's an entrepreneurial spirit. Okay. There's this drive for innovation. There's also this empowering what? Empowering children, empowering kids. Yep, no worries. Yeah, you can ask questions as well. You can cut me off and ask questions as well. That's fine. Yeah, I've seen your message.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's the broader sort of cultural context. Moving on to my next point will be purpose, previously defined as social purpose, and definitely well that actually leads to this one where you are empowering children, so Australian children, okay, to okay avail themselves or avail and challenge themselves, okay, okay, by undertaking what entrepreneurial endeavors. Yeah. And so that's something that's very important to discuss there in terms of purpose. Besides the regular generic purposes like rapport building, like reducing social distance, like engendering solidarity with those with a similar entrepreneurial mindset. Those other purposes are all okay. Those other generic ones are okay, but I would always have a specific purpose, a more engaging purpose. So let me just write this down. Alongside the generic purposes like engendering solidarity, okay, with those sharing the same, well, those children, right? Okay, who share the same entrepreneurial spirit or mindset. Does it make sense? Okay, so I would have those generic ones like solidarity, rapport, and stuff, but it's imperative that you have a more specific purpose and straight away. Okay.
Yeah, Pali, I have a question regarding that.
Sure.
So for those generic purposes, would you include those in your register paragraph?
What do you mean? For what? Do you include these two in your register paragraph? No,
No, the generic purpose, like
no.
solidarity
You would,
report.
you wouldn't. You wouldn't. I think you are you referring to the like the final sentence in the register paragraph where you can choose to link to purpose? Is that what
Yeah,
you?
yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, you can. So what this student is referring to is in the final sentence, right, of the register paragraph, you can link the overall register to a purpose. And that's absolutely fine. And generally speaking, you would use the generic purpose like rapport, solidarity, reducing social distance, because those things link to register very well. But you also have the more engaging purposes, which should really belong in a function, purpose, and cultural context paragraph, where you're using more specific examples to justify that purpose rather than the register ones, if that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
All right, coming back to the actual text, let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the text very briefly, and there's no long text, but there's also some area that's copyright restricted, but that's fine. Okay, so straight away, I can see a conversation tone. You are being called on to shape Australia's future. Very bold, a clarion call to empower and challenge Australian students to take on this entrepreneurial endeavor. Okay, rhetorical interrogative. So there's a lot of features that you can already be mentioning for the cognitive function, right? We're shining the spotlight on our young Australian entrepreneurs. So straight away, you can discuss the positive connotations, which is trying to portray the entrepreneurial endeavor as something to be pursued, something worth pursuing, something, in the spotlight, right? So positive connotations, make it more attractive, and therefore to incentivize children. This is followed by a series of parallel interrogatives. So we've got, are you a budding inventor, quirky scientist, creative artist, aspiring engineer? So this is a really good parallel phrases here, of parallel interrogatives here to, in this case, question each student's ambition, question their goals and what they want to achieve in life. So there's a lot of rhetorical techniques here that you can discuss for the cognitive function. Entrepreneurial sees opportunity everywhere. Problem or challenge is an opportunity to help people. So it's more, these features here are more for the referential function. And then you can talk about the vertical listing with bullet points. Again, these are pretty good for referential function. I would also note that the references here are very good because these are proper nouns which are actually not discussed in further detail in the text. So these are very good features if you want to discuss coherence or inference. Okay, very good features. The goal is always for output of value to be greater than the cost of input. So straight away, it's using some financial jargon or economic jargon, economics jargon, and that is also linking to solidarity purpose as well. Also, you can also even think about establishing expertise for this competition host because they themselves need to communicate in language that is in sync with that of finance and business. Imperatives, obviously, really, really good features for the cognitive function to incentivize and impel these young readers, or in this case would be a reader of this website, to sign up and submit their application. Okay, so there's a lot of, yeah, so you can also talk about the modal verbs for the referential function. Exclamatives, which again, engender that conversational tone, very good feature for the informality. And then you have this entire section of the text. So it's very important that you're able to group the text by sections. So you don't want to necessarily need to read every single line here, right? But you will be able to see that essentially from lines 22 to 42, it's the same section, right? Very informative. So you can group this section by theme. All the features here, I'm going to link to the referential function, pretty much. And then you can also talk about the modal verbs, like must. That's also pretty good if you want to link to the cognitive function, or if you want to link possibly even to formality as well, because there's a lot of normalizations like permission, competition. There's quite a lot of slightly more formal here. And that is obviously, in line with the theme of the subject matter, because these are the rules, the terms and conditions, right? So they would slightly change to formality. And you can also talk about the proper nouns, applicant, the teams. So these deliberate capitalization, transformation into proper nouns, essentially mimic, you can say it is redolent of legal discourse. So this sounds like a terms and conditions document. So slightly, if you want to talk about the formality or the register shift to formality, this is a very beautiful passage to find your formal features. And you can see this, it is sandwiched in two informal conversational exclamatives. So in terms of this text, my overall impression is that 2022 VCAA has been very generous. It's giving you a text with a lot of features to discuss for register, purpose, and cultural context. So very, very good text. Again, easy features there to discuss. Exclamatives, imperatives, something for everyone. We're putting together a digital show bag. Okay. Yep. And then at the end, again, finally, coming back to that formality with the acknowledgement of country. Okay, and you can also discuss this related to cultural context as well. Okay, so this is a very good ending there for this text, and a very good point to link to the Australian cultural context. All right, that's pretty much my take on this text. Let's have a look at how the student has analyzed this text. Now, which paragraph is this? This is just the register and function purpose paragraph, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so essentially what the student has got here is a function, is a register paragraph, right? And then followed by a function purpose cultural context paragraph. Okay, so this is what I actually recommend for students at the start of the year to focus on the paragraphs that you are most weak in. So you want to be like, prioritizing these paragraphs, and rather than writing the full AC, which may take up longer time. Okay, let's have a look. So I'll just make this bigger. Okay, numerous stylistic features coalesce in a largely informal register with occasional diversions to formality in order to establish authority and employ an objective tone. Okay, so this student has a decent topic sentence. You don't need to have a topic sentence for ACs, but you can. Typically, it's good to signpost what you want to discuss. Okay. Informal register serves to reduce social distance and build rapport with the reader. So this sentence here, I would actually prefer you have this sentence at the very end of the text. So let me start editing. So here, this sentence should be located at the end of the informal language features. So after you provide all the features, you would then sum up informality all together and link it to purpose or identity or cultural context or anything you see fit. Okay. The rhetorical interrogative, are you up for the challenge? So I wouldn't not use this feature in the register paragraph, okay? Because this is a very good feature for function purpose. So if you just use this as a conversation tone, it's not really good. Because if you want to talk about conversation tone, you can talk about the exclamative. You can talk about these ones here, 42, 43, and 21. Yeah, exclamatives are better because they solely engender the conversational tone, which links to informality. The reason why I don't think rhetorical interrogative is fit here is because rhetorical interrogative, right, should really be discussed in the function purpose paragraph. Again, because it's a stronger example, rhetorical interrogative, it is challenging, it is questioning their ambitions, questioning their goals. And it's inviting children, applicants, to contemplate about the role they should take in society. Okay, so this is such a good example, but unfortunately, you've located this example in a pretty weak paragraph. So one of the key things about English language is the ability to locate or place the best examples in the strongest paragraphs. If you put a good example in a bad paragraph, the example becomes bad because you reduce the capacity for elaboration. Okay, so the capacity for elaboration for interrogative is much greater than exclamative, which can only be linked to conversational tone. All right, it also enables first people to establish solidarity to the target audience. Again, so like you would not talk about these things in the register paragraph. This register paragraph, you focus on register. How the informality is built, just mention that. At the end of informality, you can sum up informal language as a whole. But if you're mentioning these features to function purpose, it's why should it be here? Why should it be in this paragraph? Okay. Non-standard capitalization present in apply now. So again, you need to have more meta language like imperative. Mimics, yeah, very good. Prosodic features, spoken discourse. So in terms of prosodic features, you want to be like what exactly are you talking about? So mimics loud volume, okay, as part of prosodic features, right? And brings emphasis on it. Yep. So instead of saying brings emphasis, that's sort of not that great of analysis, it's quite generic. Anything's to emphasize, right? So you might say mimics loud and thus, okay, delivers a clarion call. The clarion call is a call to action. Yeah, clarion call on the action of applying to participate in the conversation. Can you see such a better expression than just saying emphasis? Okay, so if you want to get better marks, it's also about having a strong expressive style of writing. At least that resonates to me. But that's something that's of a lesser priority than elaboration itself. In doing so, the web page emulates face-to-face conversation, building familiarity while decreasing the register. Fine. We're waiting for you. So yeah, quite repetitive. If you have this feature before, you wouldn't do it again. Okay, so if you want to talk about informality, there's a lot of features you can discuss. You can talk about the colloquialisms. Even the pronouns are pretty good. Yeah, so not the best features that you've got for informal register here. Contribute to objective tone. Yep, normalizations. That's right. Convey the authority, not just authority, but also expertise. So you're missing a big point here, where you can talk about the output of value and cost of the input. So financial or economics jargon will be good here. Line 15. Yeah, so that would be a better feature for formality. Yeah. So yep, depersonalizing the text. Like the thing is you're using this objective tone too many times. Like you can see the student's using it twice already. So you want to have something else apart from objective tone. So expertise come into play. Okay, so this is done at the start of the year. So this student hasn't actually been formally introduced to formality, which is why he's repeating features, but you should talk about expertise, you can talk about credibility. There's a lot of things that you can discuss as a stylistic effect of formality, rather than just objective tone. Okay, and also you should also talk about the features which are redolent of legal discourse, such as the capitalization or the capitalization transforming common nouns into proper nouns, like in applicant and the terms, the teams or something like that, which is in the second page of the text. So you can look at that here and here. These are very relevant of legal discourse because these are actually common nouns, but they're capitalized, which basically mean it's a formal denomination. This is how you name people and things formally. So you're missing the best features from formality, but I will forgive you because we haven't done, or at least started formality yet. All right. Any questions on the register paragraph?
Yeah, actually I had one question. So do you think my balance of the features between informality and formality is appropriate? Because I feel like I might have analyzed too many informal features here. Is it fine?
Good question. You've actually found yourself a mistake. I think there's a bit too much on informality. At least it's repetitive because exclamative and then here you have interrogative. You just need to have one. You should have a bit more features of formality as well. It should be more like half and half rather than 3 against 1 or 3 against 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on to the purpose paragraph. So this is the paragraph. So generally speaking, the purpose paragraph is one that would show a student's intrinsic analytical skills. If you want to get a 15 out of 15 on the AC, it's all about the function, purpose, cultural context paragraph. Because the register paragraph and the discourse paragraph, which is the third body, these two paragraphs are pretty easy. They are most of the states students are able to write in a similar fashion. But the one that really shows and the distance, I wouldn't say distance, but like the difference in skill is this function purpose paragraph. So let's have a look at how much of the text the student has unpacked. One purpose of the page is to empower potential applicants and encourage them to participate in the competition. So I really like this word empower. Okay, but I want you to say, so there's no mentioning of children. You should really focus on the fact that you're not just empowering ordinary Australians, you are empowering children, right? So what is the implication of children? What is the cultural context surrounding children? Children, they're the future of society, right? So you want to be focusing on that element as well. So straight away, I would say this paragraph lacks depth because of the lack of consideration of the primary audience being Australian children, okay? And the cultural context and the connotations surrounding that. Yeah, they are the future of our society, our nation, society, okay? And this is why they are of utmost importance. It's also about nurturing. Another thing that you can, what comes out from this children audience is about not just empowering, but nurturing this entrepreneurial, okay, mindset. Okay, and this sort of values of resilience, hard work, um, you know, determination, etc., like that, from a young age. So that's another sort of purpose that you might want to discuss such cultural context, because you're talking about the values, which provides a cultural context. Yep. So stop saying empowering. Too many empowering. Got to have different words. Once is enough. So you also too many empower. I see it too many times. If you repeat the expression, it shows that you have a very narrow vocab. So you need to build that. I wanted to say encouraging further reading is not really a good point. So instill sense of confidence, and instead of empowering, just say incentivizing. Right? Like there's so many different ways of saying the same thing. I don't think Australian patriotism is that big of a point. I think that's a bit of too much stretch. I don't think the gap between entrepreneurship and patriotism, there's still a big gap. So I would not link to patriotism. I think the students miss the most important point in discussion, which is the entrepreneurial mindset. What are the values that and the qualities and the personalities that entrepreneurs would have? And how do you nurture that in children? That's the most important thing. Patriotism is very far point. Okay. It's like the third line, fourth line idea here. So again, shape Australia's future. Yes, you can say it's gently stirring and questioning their patriotic duty. You can say that, right? You can say that, like instead of saying further, like questioning their, patriotic duty. Yes, you can say that, but I would say it's more about, developing, right, the skill sets, okay, to become successful entrepreneurs. I think that's the most important uh, discussion here. Okay, imperatives are pretty good features. Active voice is a very good feature at the end. Yep. I'm going to demographic, category. Yep. So this is called acknowledgement to country. So the student, yeah, you can say that in the acknowledgement. I think acknowledge to country or acknowledge of country, something like that. You can even say the formulaic, just it does follow a state structure. Not just business, but a group of people dedicated towards providing opportunities for future entrepreneurs. Personal attachment, yeah. I don't say it's not like this analysis is not great. It's more like saying, it sounds more relatable, down to earth. You want to say that, in turn, first pivot establishes itself, okay, as a fellow, as not just a mentor of Australian children, um, you know, uh, pursuing entrepreneurship, but also what an approachable, affable, uh, you know, uh, lifelong friend, okay, in their journeys to success. Okay, so or companion sounds better. Okay, so that's the kind of analysis that you have. Personal attachment is just very, what is personal attachment, right? It's very vague. Okay? So expression needs to work. Analysis is getting there. Good thing though about the student is that he's mentioned pretty much the best features of the text, except I would focus a bit more on the professionalism and expertise as well. So you have a lot of features for purpose, but you don't really have a lot of feature for the cognitive function. So I would need you to have a bit more cognitive function features. Okay, and like this one here is very good feature that you missed. The parallelism here is very good that you missed. So there are things that you need to work on, mainly in terms of the choice of examples, the quality and depth of analysis, the style of language, but it is work in development. All right. Now, do we have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, actually one question about this paragraph. So I actually experimented with a new structure, and yeah, basically I separated the paragraph into two halves. So in the first half I talked about one purpose, which is to empower potential applicants, and then in the second half I talked about the other purpose, which is to construct a favorable identity. Do you think that's effective if function
No,
features are like
because what that
discussed?
does is that limits your paragraph to only two things. But you know that in the function purpose paragraph, you want to discuss all the functions, all the purposes, and also cultural context. So if you want to use a structure, you start with the function and provide, I don't know, like two examples, and then move on to purpose one. Purpose one have like two examples or 1 to 2 examples, and then plus purpose two, and then purpose two, 1 to 2 examples, and then cultural context, maybe like 1 or 2 examples. That's it. I think if you use this structure, it'll be more successful than your current one, which is like a bit of a pace. You got some cultural context here that isn't really, you haven't really used the word cultural context. You need to signpost that. You've got a bit of purpose here, a bit of function here, a bit of purpose. It's very messy. Okay, so start with function, move on to purpose one, purpose two, move on to cultural context, done. Move on to next paragraph. Does it make sense?
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, actually, just curious. How this just based on this register and function purpose paragraph, how did it do in terms of like a mark out of 15? Just curious.
Oh, it's very difficult to mark this out of 15 because it's unfinished work. But based on the quality of analysis and the content of analysis, we're looking at in around an 11 out of 15 max, I would say 11 out of 15 max on the exam.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Thank you very much for coming along. And I hope that those watching this video can also learn from how to approach a VCAA text, how to prioritize the best features of the text, and how to translate that into the actual features of the text and analysis. All right. We'll end the recording there. Thank you.